Simataa Simataa. Well, not a new name when it comes to Zambian football, but yours is a name that has created many stories in Zambian football. Some good, some bad, some regrettable, some worth remembering.
Mm-hmm.
Who is Simataa Simataa?
Oh, thank you, Zite, for this chat. I'm the second born child of the late Charles Linyama Simataa. He hails from the Western Province, Mongo district to be specific. And then my mother is the late Monde Spalo. She comes also from Mongo district, Mwiko, and her side is a very political life. And they named me Simataa.
Why Simataa Simataa?
I don't know. I've never.
You've never even bothered why?
I never asked. All I have come to find out is the meaning of my name. And I love it. I really do.
What's the meaning?
It means foolish one.
That's deep.
And imagine, now it means double, you know. Foolish one, foolish one.
Oh.
That's
double
the most foolish person.
Let's talk about your school. Now, this is a man that originally hails from the Western Province, but now begins to grow up on the Copper Belt. And
I'm 100% Lozi.
Yeah, 100% Lozi, but growing up on the Copper Belt.
I was born in Kitwe. Kwacha Township, actually. I still got to know the house. You know, when you're coming from Kwacha Road before it turns to Riverside, the road that's going down to Bulangiriro, second house on your right. I remember my dad would always take me there and say, you see those pawpaws there? And those bananas? We planted them there. That's where you were born. And then later on, we moved to what is now called Mitanto Primary School. Then we called it Kaunda Square, right there in Kwacha. So that's where I was born. However, I don't ever remember my parents together because I lived with dad then. And what in English you want to call stepmothers. But I was raised to believe she was my mother.
Would you say that your childhood was not stable because mom and dad seemingly part marital company?
Hindsight, I've always said to myself, it wasn't good because I had to be swinging between homes. And the politics between my dad and mom, I stayed out of. That's a fact. Up to the time they both went to the grave. One time I even had the opportunity to tell dad and mom separately that I will not fight your battles. Your battles end with yourselves.
But
it wasn't very good.
Wasn't mom and dad now saying that the son of ours, I mean, at least he takes a position either to the left or to the right?
Not me.
And as a young man, and I'm sure you probably couldn't fully appreciate the gravity of what was going on between mom and dad, but you opted to stay out of.
It was none of my business. I just said to myself, I happen to be in this situation, make the good of it. At the time when I had no, I would say, rights to myself, they swung me. My mom would come at night, steal me. You know, my dad would come during the day. He knows my mom is at work. It steals me. So they tossed me up and down. Now, my mom at that time was living in Usakire. She was a nurse, later became a midwife. So she worked for Usakire Hospital. My dad was a surveyor with the Ministry of Mines. In fact, one of the earliest surveyors in the Copper Belt together, I still remember a late Mr. Fueta. They surveyed the emerald areas of the Copper Belt and the rest. I think I saw an emerald very young. And I was wondering, what is this green stone?
And didn't appreciate its value.
In their office, yes.
Yes. Let's talk about your football life, shall we? In keeping up with the theme. Your love affair with the beautiful game. Where does it start?
Many routes. It's not one route. You know, it starts with my father living in Kwacha. One time he carried me to Butch Stadium. And those days, Buchi, Kamitondo, a bit of Chumwemwe, and Kwacha, and what you later became Volangiriro, were Kito United home base. I remember him cycling me to the stadium, and then when we got to the stadium, he lifted me, put me on his shoulders. Imagine, I still remember that. We sat in the grandstand that is on the southern side, facing the pitch. And that was my beginning with football. It was a game which Dr. Kaunda was actually the guest of honor, a cup final between Kito United and the city of Lusaka. So when they were parading for Dr. Kaunda to come and officially kick off, my father kept nudging me and said, "You see that tall man there, that one there? He's your uncle." And he was dressed in white shirt and a black trousers.
Who is this tall man, white shirt, white trousers?
Mr. Yuri Rishoma. He was the chairman of City of Lusaka.
So, does that explain later on in your life, when you talk about many roads, you end up being a city sympathizer or a die-hard fan, so to speak?
It's a mix, yes. So you've got Kito United, yeah? I'm introduced to that. Remember I was telling you, I used to be like wipers. When I'm on my mom's side, she lived a stone throw from Scrivener Stadium. So I was introduced to Rokana United. The Stone Chibwes are the people, McGregor. Those are the kind of players I still remember watching. And then I'll go back to my dad and I'll come back to my mom. My mom moved to Chingola, where she continued working now for the mines at the hospital there. And we lived in Kabundi. I still remember the house number, KD10. That's where I go and start my school, grade 1, at a school which was called Helen Wala Infant School, next door to Chingola Primary. It's now called Dakatindi. But there were only 2 grades in the school at the time. So I'm introduced to Nchanga Rangers. So up to this day, I have a soft spot for Nchanga Rangers. I have a soft spot for City of Lusaka. Soft spot for Kito United. Soft spot for Rokana United.
What happened when these teams met?
It depends. If I was at my father's house, I was Kito United. If I was at my mother's house, I was Rokana. That's how it just worked out. Yeah.
That relationship between mom, dad, and the football being in between, and obviously dad used to love soccer. What was mom's position about
soccer?
Father, son, and this football thing?
No,
whilst keeping up with the feud, so to speak.
My mother didn't bother about football, to be honest. She just saw it as a pastime we had as kids. Yeah. But dad was Kito United. He died Kito United.
Okay. Now, you move a lot in Kitwe, and I don't know how Power Dynamos was the odd one out.
No, those are yesterday's teams, please.
At the time?
We don't talk about them.
You don't talk about them?
They are not in our history. They are for you young men.
So Power Dynamos totally out of the question.
I think I hear about Power Dynamos when they came at Chan with teeth.
Baby born with teeth.
And they actually got only concerned with them when Peter Kaumba joined them. Because at school, remember, I went to school in Chingola. Grade 2, I finished. Grade 3, I came back to Kitwe and stayed with dad. That time he had moved to Parklands. And white only neighborhood, my friend. The dogs there didn't know black skin. So they would be playing on their own, but they won't back. The moment you appear, they must have been trained to back at black.
Socially speaking, was it difficult to mix and mingle with?
Horrible for me. So I still went back to Kwacha. I still trekked to Buchi. I still trekked to Kamitondo to play with my friends, the people that I could speak the same language with.
You couldn't relate with your newly found bourgeoisie neighbor, so to speak?
You know what? My grade 1, I think there were 4 blacks. We were 4 of us. The rest were European origin. So I've been to schools only with... the first school I went to where there was all indigenous, black. Even teachers. I was taught by a Zambian for the first time in Form 1. So I grew up in these schools. Valley View was a bit more balanced because that's where I went for my primary school. There was a bit... It was almost 50-50, 60-40. Later it became almost 90-10. Are you with me? So I did mix with them very well. Our friends from Europe, I understood them. I'm not afraid of them. I have no complex.
When I look back at the history of football, there was a time when football was being played on racial grounds.
Yes.
And many years after, you are able to sit in the same class with people who are not black-skinned like you. Were there remnants of that quote-unquote horrible past, so to speak?
No, yes. You know, as a kid, only hindsight. When I look at certain actions that were taken by my friends' parents, things like that, the language they used, I never understood it as racism. I just used to think they were horrible people. Are you with me? Because even in Parklands, both sides of our neighborhood were people of European origin. And on one side, there was a young man my age. In fact, he went to Kito Primary School. We would play, but the moment his mother comes, he shot off like a bullet. I never understood that. I really did. It's only now, hindsight, I thought, oh, he must have been told not to play with my kind. Are you with me? But for me, it didn't bother me. They were just horrible people. Because there's no difference between us and them.
You learned to hate?
No, hate what?
Them, on that perspective.
No, rather I learned that they are human like us. I don't need to be inferior before them. You see that? They have the same problems we have. They have the same difficulties we have. So for me, even when later I come and deal with expatriates in my administration, I look them in the eye and I would say to them, no, that is wrong. Everybody else would be cowering, he's an expert. You guys. And that's why today I don't understand this expatriate local attitude. I don't.
Okay, let me fast forward, probably begin to dig deep into your time in Kitwe. Godfrey Yuka Chitalu. That man, and I always tell myself, who was Yuka? What made him special? But you had up close and personal time to have a look at history in the making, history that's still being recited up to today.
Apparently, Godfrey started off as a defender. That's what we knew as kids. When he arrived at Kito United, he was playing what we call Kutu. Is it right back?
Right back.
Yeah. And he was converted there to a striker. And I have the privilege of, I wish he was alive, of carrying his bag. Go to his house in the morning about this time, knock at the door, he throws your bag at him. That's your ticket into Buchi Stadium. You went to the grandstand, knocked, they would say, Fishu Lefa. I've brought bag Yawa Yuka. Oh, the door opened for you, Mwana. You went into the dressing room, you left it there. Then you were told, no, you can't sit here, this is grandstand. It's for adults. Go children's section. So you then go and watch the game for free. After the game, you dash to the dressing room. He finished bathing and everything, you'd be waiting outside. And you would bully everybody else that is waiting so that you can get that bag and take it home. Then he goes off to Butch Hotel or somewhere else. Footballers of those days didn't carry to my bags like these ones I see these days. I said to myself, these are not heroes. They are not. They are all carrying to my bags and going for training. It was our privilege to do that.
Carry the bag.
Even during the week. And we watch them train. A versus B, those days, those are the training. You never found a football team training set pieces, what. No. It was just A versus B. Sometimes I don't even think they warmed up.
Okay. Now, tell me, Godfrey Yukachitelu and Kaut status, but what was this Oran mystique that the man had? And probably where did the nickname come from? The last time I checked, it was just...
No, the nickname I can tell you. A company called Union Carbine came and sponsored the Kito United as early as those days. And they put up a billboard where the children's section was. And they painted a player shooting the ball. And it was like from the back, not the face showing. But the number they put at the back was 10. So when we came in, we were looking, Yuka Battery and this player. Are you with me? So the game that they introduced the sponsorship, Kito United came in the unusual color of white tops and red shorts, because the traditional outfit was striped, red and white. And everybody came in, everybody was warming up, running around. There was no Yuka. Then at some point the megaphones went on, and now let's welcome Godfrey Yuka Chitaru. That's how we all went crazy with the name. And Uncle Dennis made it popular.
What did he prefer to be called?
I wouldn't know. Because before that...
What did you call him?
Before that, we just used to cheer him, actually. He was one of the players who didn't have a name. I can't remember exactly. But people like Uncle Moses Kawaira in Ndola would give you, because he was his playmate. And by the way, that time in football, almost every player, 9 out of 11, had a football nickname. So when he was on the ball, the whole ground would go cha-cha-cha, cha-cha-cha. And that man used to play his football with his hands. You know, he would swing his hand. That's how he dribbled people, with his hand.
Okay, now, half of you, Rokana United, half of you, Kito United, and when they meet...
And then the other half, Changa
Rangers.
And the other half, City.
what was the modus operandi when, say, Rokana met Kito United?
At Buchi Stadium?
Even when, whether it was at Buchi or Scrivener.
That's why I said it was two cultures. At Kito United, at Buchi Stadium, by the way, supporters would rarely come, Rokana supporters. Why? Because they would be beaten up after the game. So they never really came for that game. To be full Kito United.
Parties on one side, Scrivener the same.
You go to Scrivener, Kito United supporters were not there.
Don't come.
Yeah. And of course, Kito United supporters were well known. I would say a couple of times I heard my father stand up and shower a few praises on the opponents.
I'm just thinking, probably unpalatables obviously came through.
Hard stuff. You know, most people used to ask me.
You could have heard your father actually uttering unpalatables.
I did. You know, somebody one day came up and says, "Have you survived that city?" I mean, those people have a foul language. I looked at him and I said, I was born in a foul life.
Wow.
And, we were trained to insult. It was the guy, you know, they used to have a, this is what is missing from our football today. Children's section. You know, under 12, we never paid in the pitch. You know what that did to us? We got hooked to the teams. So that later when we had money, we bought tickets.
Let's talk about one phenomena that Zambian football also saw, Zoom. Now I'm thinking when my take comes to Kitwe.
You know, and by the way, they've got the Nkale brothers on their side. You know, there were 3 of them, Patrick, Abraham, Edward, I think. Yeah, and there's Zoom there. A man we still remember just as Mosquito, Castella, I think. And you know, the choir leader would come to us on our children's section, Vaiche. Those ones who are dressed in, in fact, even in Freya Wanderers, it was green and white. Those who are dressed in white and green, when they get the ball, keep quiet. No noise. That was Pokafe Vaiche. Chongo. But with Zoom, no one could be resisting. The moment he gets the ball, boss, even our parents
who were giving those instructions,
they would do, Zoom. Yeah, he was a master dribbler.
Best players you saw as a kid? Those two?
Fred Muira from Rokana. I don't know anybody that could run that fast on the wing and exercise intelligence on the pitch. Bastoni Chubwe, midfield. Yeah. Kito United, there was Yuka. Oh, Kito United was a stock. Moses Kavaira, Yuka himself, Lamek Soko. There's a player who history may have forgotten. I haven't. Dick Severe. That guy was a midfielder. In my opinion, he's the one that made Yuka at Kito United. Like Boniface and Stevenson come and make Yuka at Warriors. Are you with me? What do I mean make? Maybe that's where our football has also lost it. Those days, the goalkeeper didn't want to score. Defenders didn't want to score. They had a scoring machine. Every team had a kind of a scoring machine. They worked for that person. They would dribble through and just give him the pass, pusher.
That explains the what modern day football would think of ridiculous goal returns.
Yes.
Plus 50 goals per season,
No,
plus
that wasn't.
70,
It was very
plus
normal.
100.
By the way, we talk about Godfrey's 107. Please go back in history. The year before, how many did he score? The year before, it was 90, 89, 88. I mean, after all, even Boniface Simto is around 80 goals in one season. Are you with me? Gibbon Chewe in Indora was beaten by Yuka, I think, by 1 goal or 2. The year Yuka had 107, Gibbon must have had 106. And the reason why is that Gibbon played less game because of injury.
Now, tell me something.
Now,
so
unfortunately, there are no
you
historians in this country.
in one word, are you saying modern day football is a victim of its own tactics?
Yes. We've copied things we've not understood from the base. Are you with me? Lately, a coach comes, I think it was Poson. He comes with 3-5-2. Everybody copies 3-5-2. Do you understand it?
What was the default formation in the Yuka days?
4-2-4. Before that, 2-3-5. 5 strikers before that. You see that? We had natural wingers, 11 and 7. And these 2 here were attackers, 9 and 10. 8 was their supply. That was our Zambian football. By the way, that football is what beat Cameroon. Is what beat Morocco. Wing play. We were good at it. We come here and destroy the wings and start this new football where everybody wants to score. You see that? Even I can even give you other examples. Nkana, during the time they were champions, they are number 9. You know, Michael Chavala, later Kenneth Maritore. Everybody worked for him. So Kenneth would come out of a season with 40 games because the other 20 could have been scored by the others. They gave him. And the team won. You go to Power Dynamos, okay. There's a guy, I forget his name, but his nickname was Paymaster. Everybody worked for him. You go to Wanderers, Chela. Everybody worked for him. The winger, when he beats there, he looks up, he sees Chela, he puts the ball here. Chela didn't have to do a lot of work, it's a goal. Wanderers has won. But these days, you find the number 2, Alefayem Kwingisha. Me, I don't, that kind of football, I've said, we are not at those levels yet. You see that? We should have a targeted plan. You win your game still more. And they did those days. And we saw a lot of goals, by the way.
Okay. Let's just fast forward a little bit. You are known to be an academician, too. Someone who went on to go to the corporate world and made his impression. What would you say was the motivation? Or was it because school was fashionable at the time, dad was a surveyor, mom and nurse, so it would be normal just to follow that mode?
No, man. Me, as Simataa, I saw my salvation in education. That's why I saw it. I said, if I get educated, I'll be able to get out of this situation and live on my own. My default status...
What did you hate the most?
My default status was a miner. I said, if all fails, I'll go and work in the mine. The situation, you know, where your parents are fighting over you. And unfortunately, my parents fought to the grave. even though they both married 2-3 times. I don't know what happened between them. So it created a lot of emotional stress. And I used to wish to leave home. And that's why at my greatest opportunity, national service, I left. I was just above 18. Never went back home to this day. Back to my parents to live, to be looked after. So I'm amazed when I see you guys at your age staying with your mother in her house.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm really amazed. I said to myself, wow, different generation. Us, we left home and left for good.
Left for good.
Yeah.
Okay, you go to the University of Zambia, and then
Privileged.
there, yeah, privileged too. But UNZA at the time, the greatest or the highest learning institution, big reputation. You walked in there.
I never expected to go to UNZA. Never. Even when my friend, late Fred Lufunguro, came to tell me, I saw your name on the list. I said, no, must be somebody else. I refused. I said, no, it must be somebody.
You didn't want to?
No, I didn't think I was good enough to go to UNZA. Are you with me? I expected that UNZA was for the top class. I wasn't. I got what? 28 points? 28 points, Division 2. 6 subjects. I failed the 7th one. So my certificate has only got 6 subjects. And of those 6, one was 8. Religious knowledge. How I even got an 8 in religious knowledge, I've never explained. I've never got an, except to think that it was God's will.
Talking about God's will,
Yeah.
a little bit tells me you become born again when you get to UNZA.
Yes, in the second term of my first year.
What happened? Or what was the precipitator?
A number of things. I saw Christianity lived, not spoken. That's why maybe up to this day, a lot of people don't understand my modus operandi. I don't speak Christianity. I live it and try and be the best example there is. That's all. I saw it lived through a friend who I had grown up with from grade 3 right up to national service. And at national service, that was closer. I mean, we would steal food, okay, from the dining room. We were 2,000 recruits. There was a bit of starvation in the camp. You have extra food or you've stolen food, I'll take it to this guy and I say, eat something. In the meantime, you can count his ribs, even his skull formation. And he would ask me, Simataa, where did you get this food from? Does it matter? I have brought. No. Tell me where you got this food from. Okay, we waylaid a few people and organized. Sorry, you can have it. It used to provoke me. Yeah, I get into the university and I get close to, the first guy is now a bishop, Bishop Blessington Malenga. I meet another character out there called Conrad Dimbewe. He's a pastor now, as I speak. One time I remember said to them, guys, let's go for a movie. In fact, my roommate was closer to him. We did. We went for a movie in the town, and we sat there, and there was a kissing scene. Those days, there was nothing else they showed. Conrad walked out. And I said to myself, just kissing. So when we went back to UNZA, we laid him. What was that? No, it was filth. And there's another life from this one? That is what bothered me. I would read comics from his room. And I'll cut a long story short. A couple of, during that time when there was mobilization of national service, former national service, we were not mobilized. We were the only intake that didn't go, and the intake after us. Yeah, that's how I introduced by Blessington Malenga in Kitwe. I met him going to church with his big Bible. I said to him, boss, where are you going? He says, I'm going to church. Oh, can I come along? He says, yes, but today it's just prayer meeting, but tomorrow we have a general meeting. So the following day I went, and lo and behold, I'm here, converted.
Okay, from that time.
Yeah.
That's what,
So
1980,
that was 1982.
82, 1980.
I went into Unza in 79.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Now, you leave Unza with...
I closed down on football, by the way.
You
Closed down
leave...
completely.
Yeah, closed down. You leave Unza with a degree in...
I graduated with economics degree, merit. I must emphasize that. They don't come easy.
Congratulations. Still makes sense
Thank
up to
you.
today.
Yeah, with a minor in geography. Now some people have mixed it. No, he studied in geography. He's a liar. No. I'm an economist, qualified, at least degree level.
Not accountant.
No.
A lot of people mistook you for an accountant for many
I
years.
then went into banking. And you can't be a banker without accounting. But I didn't go to school for it. I taught myself accounts, right up to the full stuff. I always like to pride myself and say, there's no accountant I cannot understand or even speak to on the same level.
But wasn't there a cultural resistance that, look, you don't have the academic qualification for this, but you insist on
Banking, for
saying
instance.
you could lecture?
Banking, for instance. When I get into banking, that's about 2-3 years after I left UNZA, 85. I then discovered it's a qualification. So I started studying with the UK-based Institute of Bankers. I failed. Yeah. I attempted May exams, failed. 2 courses actually. One of them was monetary economics. I attempted in November, failed. Then I realized, these guys must be trying to make money out of me. Because those days we were paying £15 per course and buying kits. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I decided to then just study it to know what it was, to help my job. Big difference. And I threw away any idea in my heart to get qualified. And this is what I will say through you. Please go and get your doctorates. Please go and get your masters. Feel free, it's your right. But what kind of a master are you or a doctorate? You go and get it, you come back, you make no difference, nothing. Even the air does more. I'm saying, and I've met those kind of, and they are the majority right now. It's like they want you to get scared. I've got a master's so that you take off. No. They're not making any difference anyway. And for me, when I went into banking, I said to myself, maybe for another day we can talk about that. Just banking.
So you switch off from football.
Yeah.
And really switch on. And you come back as an administrator. How does that happen?
Soccer fan. I came back as soccer fan. You see, I switched off between 79 and 83. And a lot of my colleagues, you might find, even if you met them today, they will tell you they never imagined I was into football. In fact, I even tried to play for UNZA in first year. I became a Christian. And one particular day, my coach was the late Wes Kaunda. And I still remember my elder brother now, Henry Mutafia, is in Canada. He was one of a terrific striker. And during the match, I almost stepped on quite a huge snake in the UNZA grounds. That left me, with a symbol that, no, let me quit even this, concentrate on my Bible study, concentrate on my Christianity, and going to church. Are you with me? Then I rekindled it in 86. Became a soccer fan with Rokana.
What brought you back?
There was a period where I was unemployed. I had nothing to do. So those days they would play Wednesday, midweeks, and that I'd go and watch at Independence Stadium. I was staying at Sombai. What is Sombai now? Those Bank of Zambia flats for a while, almost a month or so. That rekindled it. And I found Moses was already coaching, and I remember Moses as a child playing for Okana, and we were good friends. He knew me. And
Moses Simwala.
Yes, we tagged. We did. And he did a lot for that club.
Fast forward. So the soccer fan is reawakened. Then you get into administration.
How I got into administration is rather by accident, I must say. Firstly, I was introduced to football administration by the former minister, Chenda. Chenda came came up to my office and said, I would like you to be in my subcommittee. I said, subcommittee of what? At FAS, Finance Subcommittee. Anyway, I agreed. That was 92. Our chairman then was David Perry. And then they also formed the National Team Fundraising Committee. It has never happened since then. And they appointed from outside. They appointed the late Anderson Mazoka as chairman.
It was to raise money. What was the...
Just that. That was
just raise money.
Modus operandi. Raise money for the national team. The vice was Wilfred Onani. There were people like Dan Milstead. I still remember Malunga, you know. So that is the committee that we began to work towards fundraising and the rest for the Football Association of Zambia. Now, in 92 itself, I went to the CAN Senegal outing. Zambia had qualified, traveled with the team. Hey, that was a sad experience. What I saw, the way players are treated, I couldn't believe. I couldn't. And
what happened?
Hey, yeah. It was horrible, man. We carried, as usual, Zambians, we carry in Shima or Midimio. When we got out there, there was no cook. The players were cooking for themselves. We would go for training. Us, myself, Solipando, late, Hassam, there's another young man in Kitwe. He went on to work with Zax United. I forget his name, but nickname we used to call him Zagaro. The late Masie Motels. There were only 5 of us supporters. And those days there was no hire or charter of a plane, government funding. You funded from your pocket.
Self-sponsorship.
Yeah. So only 5 of us. And then a couple of journalists. Golath Mungonge, Sam Sakala, Gerard, Masha Chidemena, a lot of them. We went to Senegal. Now we used to follow the team. You know, they go for training, we catch a hike. We became boys to keep ourselves fit. And they would train in the morning, very hard, it's humid. No water, just water to drink. We, the supporters, would come together, put money, go to buy water. $3.50, I will never forget that, for 1.5 liters, one bottle. Now there are 25 of them. We would go and do every day.
Where was FAS?
The delegation leader would leave the camp at 6 o'clock in the morning because, you know, they give delegation leaders vehicles. And go to Gambia, where the city was better. And you come back at night. We were just abandoned.
Abandoned the players.
The chairman of FAS himself lived in the capital, 400 kilometers from Zingishu. He used to fly in with that charter they have during Africa Cups, which only gives him 30 minutes before the game, 30 minutes after the game. That's when I said to my close friends like Gerard, he'll tell you, you confirm. I said, Gerard, it's enough of being an armchair critic. Let's get into this thing. And when I came back, lo and behold, the government saw some talent in me. They appointed me vice chairman to a very elderly committee. Yeah, with my chairman, Ernest Mate.
So with that heartbreaking tale in Senegal, the multi-million-dollar question for many who were not there was, where was FAS, where was the government, and why was there that quote-unquote carefree environment?
I would exonerate the government. That time the government simply made money available.
So there was money to take care of the team and there was no reason that the
there
team
was no
didn't
money
have
issue.
water.
The money issue that existed in Senegal was on this disparities, where some players were getting $2,000, others $30. Majority of them. The coach himself, Fred Muela, was getting, and Zoom, $50. for the same occasions or events. That caused the anarchy in the team. I remember players coming up to me and when we were going to play Cote d'Ivoire, they were saying, because I was a one-man supporter, by the way. The other guys were a bit timid. Me, I wasn't. I remember when we played Ghana, I went and sat in the middle of the Ghanaians. In the middle. And out-shouted them. They were busy saying, yeah, one man, only one man. And they were all like this. And we gave them a hard time. You know, they were star dead. But they still beat us 1-0. After that, I made heroes from those guys. So, and it was like a small compact stadium. Not even like Sunset. The grandstand was even closer to the pitch. So when you shouted, the players would hear you. Almost like Magrosa. Are you with me? That's the kind of mentality I went there with. You know, and the players came to me before the game and said, Vakalamba, muishu parero, tuaralusa, olochibeshan. What? What are you talking about?
That was 92.
Yes. What are you talking about? And we did have a meeting with the players. I did. I met the whole national team except for Kalusha Bwalia and Ifod Chabara.
What was the reason?
They poured out their hearts. Ashos Melu, he was even complaining, me, I'm vice chair, captain, just in name. And they poured out even the inequalities in the team. The team was not a unit, you know. Sadly, I've seen other reflections. Well, let them be. Kalusha was ostracized in that team. And Gerard Mulwanda is there. He can tell you what the players said. Ostracized. They didn't want him. They didn't like him.
What was the issue? Was it was he being
financially
given more?
Yes. They didn't like that.
Wasn't it because he was captain and maybe...
It didn't matter. How come? When I went into FAS, we are the executive that changed that. Fortunately, I had the experience of 92. So when we went into FAS, we said from now onwards, all players get the same. As long as you wear Zambia, doesn't matter whether you're from Europe, South Africa or Zambia. As long as you're on the pitch, same amount. Look at what happened in 92, 94.
So the players told you we're going to lose and...
Yeah, and they lost. If you, please, I dare anyone watch that game. Cote d'Ivoire versus Zambia 1992. There was a time Kalu would work his way through the wing. Beat the whole defense, goes to the goal line, looks up to see whether there's anybody can swing the bottle. They are all just crossing the halfway line. That is the attitude they went on the pitch with. I remember, I don't like measuring people who have passed away, they won't defend themselves. One of them even saying, if I couldn't manage to defend, per half time,
but what was the issue? The administrators at the time, they're the ones that created...
The delegation leader was awful, my friend. You see, the delegation leader is the one that carries the purse. What he would do is he would count the money, leave it with Fred Muira. And then Fred Muira would pay the players. And unfortunately, it's one long list. Maybe if he did it, he would have been more discreet. So he actually even exposed Kalusha, in my view. Are you with me?
But was he to blame as an individual, or
No.
It was the effort that says him, we give him so much.
But does a player know that? A player getting $30?
Did you have a chance to speak to then?
Who?
To Kalusha at the time, 92, to actually say, look,
No.
your friends don't like you that much now.
I didn't even want to tell him that. Because for me, it was not his fault. He was exposed by a poor administration. Are you with me? And we got along very well. So I didn't want to go to him and say, and in any case, the time I was having a meeting with the players, he had already flown out.
Could we have won AFCON 92?
Possibly. Remember the team that beat us 1-0 is the one that went up to win it in penalties against Ghana. And we met both. Are you with me? Yeah. In a different environment, if we had lost that cup, it could have been caught maybe semi-final or final. We had a good side, Mwana. That team that went down in Gabon was a good side, but mismanaged. That's the word I want to underline. That is what provokes me to get into football. Otherwise, I had no desire to go into football administration. I was content with what I was doing.
When you landed at then the Lusaka International Airport, I'm sure you were beaming with...
I went live on a Sunday interview. There was a Senegal post-mortem. They are leaving people. Sam Sakala, who used to work for ZNBC, he organized that meeting. I told the nation exactly what I'm talking about here today. I did.
Did you call for heads to roll?
The whole executive.
That was the first time Simataa Simataa is...
The whole executive
is calling for first heads to roll.
They must
time
all
in
go.
Your life.
They must all go. I didn't want to see them.
Did you need to be brave or you...
No. I just needed to tell the truth. It's not bravery. It's truth. I experienced it. I saw it. Are you with me? And fortunately, as supporters, the 5 of us, we all distanced ourselves from the kitchen. Because the story would have been, after all, we were feeding them. Do you know something? I'll tell you very, very sadly. The delegation leader at the time actually disowned us.
Who was DM?
I don't want to... He's alive.
He's alive.
We are friends now. He disowned us at the reception. When the Egyptians came, they had booked more rooms than the normal charter. So those rooms me and the other 4 were occupying were part of the Egyptian stock. So they asked him, what's the number of yours? He said, we are only 27. What about those others who are here? He says, I don't know about them. We were checked out of our hotel rooms, guys. In a town where the only other good hotel is the one. And when I'm saying hotel, I don't know if you ever went to Livingstone before they broke down. That one which used to have thatched rooms, chalets. That was the kind of hotel we were living in. It's thatched chalets. Yeah. So we ended up having to clean up what they call the rooms for the drivers and the guards. After me and that young man, Zagero, cleaned up. Because Soliwa had asthma. We told Hassan, you will just go with your friends. And Vamdala Masia was, where we come from, the kids clean. Boss, just go to the bar, have your drink, we'll call you. We cleaned up 3 rooms, I think it was spider webs, everything. They brought us single beds, 1 blanket and some bed sheets. You know what? They came and sent a bill, $150 per night. And since we were suspicious, pay 5 days in advance. We did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, Lord and behold,
You Zambians don't love each other.
They say, speak of the devil and he will appear. 93, the government dissolves first. Happiest person under the sun that time?
They appointed me as vice chairman to Mr. Mate. And then we also had Dr. Sumuingalet from Rokana. We had Julio Chiruba, Wine Good Malunga. I remember, I forget the others. Our general secretary was then Ken Ompashi. He's late also. And our task was very simple. Write a new constitution, manage the national team, and the day-to-day affairs of us. We did all those within the 5 years. Now, how do I become chairman? Please, can this be corrected?
I was going to ask, was it a reward for
it was
you, quote unquote, running your mouth after the CAN 92?
Not really. The government, I can give them one positive. I'd already become their critic, and they know that. They knew that. So I was actually
government
shocked.
critic at the time.
Yeah, I was actually shocked that they appointed me. And I said to myself, serve. And that's what we tried to do.
Did you feel that they were trying to shut you up at the time?
No, because when I still spoke, they didn't tell me, young man, what's happening? Unless they were doing it underground. Are you with me? So we went to my chairman, Mr. Mate, resigned. After we announced the general meeting, where a new constitution would be ushered in and elections. So he resigned to stand. At the time, there was a lot of push for me to stand because we had come from 94 Africa Cup and come out second. You see that? So people, and I said to them, no. Me, I have a commitment at City. I had promised the people of City that that team would get back to its glory days. I haven't fulfilled my word. And I'm not going to back out because of this temptation. So please consider somebody else.
Let's reverse. Gabon 1993. This team, you are saying, very good team, could have won CAN 92. They perished on the coast of
They
Gabon.
were going to go to the World Cup also. Please allow me to enjoy that feeling. That they were going to go to the World Cup also. They were going to win 94.
What were your personal reflections when all this was happening?
Oh, it goes down in my life as the saddest day in my life. Saddest.
What did you say then, and
It was painful.
what are you saying now?
It was painful when my mother died. It was painful when my dad died. But that was just not pain. I was numbed that team died.